May the 7th, and our reading for this day comes from the book of Acts, chapter 6, 8 through 15. Stephen, full of grace and power, did great wonders and signs among the people. Then some of those who belonged to the synagogue of the freedmen, as it was called, the Cyrenians, Alexandrians, and others of those from Cilicia and Asia, stood up and argued with Stephen. But they could not withstand the wisdom and spirit with which he spoke. Then they secretly instigated some men to say, "We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and God." They stirred up the people, as well as the elders and the scribes. And then they suddenly confronted him, seized him, and brought him before the council. They set up false witnesses who said, "This man never stops saying things against this holy place and the law. For we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place and will change the customs that Moses handed on to us." And all who sat in the council looked intently at him, and they saw that his face was like the face of an angel. So, in Acts, we see that Jesus, or the followers of Jesus, are publicly proclaiming the message of Jesus, and of course, this didn't really sit well as they are doing that with the religious leaders of the day. They had engineered Jesus' death, and they certainly thought that this chapter was done, and they didn't really want to deal with it again. And now, as it turns out, because of Jesus' followers, this became a bigger movement after the resurrection than it was when Jesus was alive, actually. In this text, we have almost a repeat. The religious leaders kind of got to the crowd, just like they did when Jesus was on trial. They planted people, instigated, the text says. They planted people to speak lies about Stephen. Now, eventually, that all kind of led to the chance of crucifying him to Jesus. And this eventually would lead to Stephen's death by stoning as well. That's the text. That's what's going on. Now, certainly, if we are to stand up for our faith in these days, we don't face stoning. But oftentimes, even personally, it can take a lot to stand up for our faith. And especially when more and more society and the crowds, if you will, are pushing you to do otherwise. Right? There isn't a sense here anymore that we as a country are, if you will, a Christian country. In fact, we aren't. And we can bemoan that, but that means the fact is our faith is in more a minority. But in terms of Acts, that kind of connects us to them now, doesn't it? And still, they would stand up for their faith because they knew what it meant. They knew the gifts of the faith and what that would mean to people to embrace that. We're called really to the same. To remind ourselves of those gifts of the faith versus what the world is saying where we go to get things that matter. Right? We rely on Jesus, just like Stephen did. On the promises of Jesus, just like Stephen did. That, my friends, is our rock, is our solid place. As we live in a world that is full of changes and full of things we don't know what's coming, and full of a lot of people that are going to do different things. Our hook, our rock, our foundation is Jesus. Join me now in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.